So let's start with World War One के impact या consequences of World War One or results of World War One. Impact, consequences or results of World War One. So here we are starting with impact. So as we talk about, whenever there are causes or there are consequences, we always divide them into political, economic and social. So similarly, we'll talk about the political, economic and social impact of World War One. So we'll start with politico-administrative impact. Politico-administrative impact. First point. World War One resulted in downfall of four great empires. Four great empires. Now, what four great empires fell down? First, let me explain and then we will write. There was Russia, ruled by Tsar, and it was a big Russian empire. This is one. Two, there was Austro-Hungarian Empire. Austria as a country had a big Habsburg Empire, right? So there was Russian Empire, there was Austro-Hungarian Empire, then there was Ottoman Empire of the Caliph, Turkey, and then there was German Empire, which Bismarck had created, right? Now the war ended. Before the war actually ended, Russia faced a revolution, Russian Revolution of 1917, and Lenin became the president of Russia. Then many other countries which were part of the Tsarist Empire, they were given independence for some time. Later on, they will again merge with Soviet Union, but for some time, immediately after war, Russia lost some territory and the Russian Empire collapsed. Now it is simply a country called Russia. Austria-Hungary, they were divided into two different countries and many of their territories were taken away. So where there was an Austro-Hungarian Empire, now there is one small country called Austria, another small country called Hungary. Then Ottoman Empire ruled over by Caliph. This empire disintegrated and even it became a republic and Mustafa Kemal Pasha became the president. Germany, it lost so much of its territory that Germany became a very small country from a huge German empire. So four empires collapsed immediately after World War One. This is first political impact. Now we will write it. World War One resulted in downfall of four great empires. Put hyphen and write Russia, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Ottoman. These were the four great empires that collapsed. Number two, it initially gave boost to democracy. Now what happened when Germany lost the war, right? In Germany, democratic setup was established and people were given the right to vote and they elected their new government. Similarly, in Italy, there was democracy and all over the world. But after some time, many countries felt disillusioned with democratic regimes. For example, in Germany, Hitler came to power. In Italy, Mussolini came to power and they were like dictators. Right? So that means initially it encouraged democracy in European countries, but after some time the democracies fell and totalitarian or dictatorial regimes came. Right? It initially gave boost to democracy, but after some time, fascist forces. Now I will explain what is fascist when we will write about Hitler and Mussolini. Fascist forces came to fore in many countries across Europe and beyond. Next, number three. It led to emergence of new nationalities. New nationalities, like many new countries were made on the basis of the identity of people. As I told you, na, the smallest and the easiest example is there was one empire called Austro-Hungarian Empire. Now, people of Austria think they are one, and people of Hungary think they are different. Before World War I, there was no country by the name of Hungary. It was only Austria. Now that nationalities have to be given the identity, so Hungary became a separate country. Similarly, Poland was revived for the Polish people. Earlier, it was more than half of Poland was under control of Russia, and the remaining part was under control of Germany. Now that German Empire collapsed, Russian Empire collapsed. Now, in that case, we have a new country by the name of Poland. So similarly, many new countries emerged. Initially, it gave boost to democracy, but after some time, there emerged fascist forces in many countries in Europe and beyond. Third point, emergence of new nationalities. Subpoint, it was the result of the principle of self-determination. It was the result of the principle of self-determination. So I had to explain this point, principle of self-determination. Now listen to this explanation. It will help us in other points as well. When World War I ended, at that time, US was part of the war, right? USA entered World War I on side of Britain. They helped the European nations to end the war. Now that the war ended, US president at that time was Woodrow Wilson. This man, Woodrow Wilson, was a little idealist kind of a leader, right? Now, what is idealist? Those who believe that war can be permanently brought to an end. In future, there will be no war. So he, as a leader of USA, proposed 14 things called 14 points of Woodrow Wilson. And he asked the leadership of the world that if you agree to these 14 points, particularly the European leaders, if they agree to these 14 points, in future, there will be no war. So one of the points was, let's make a League of Nations. Now, what is this League of Nations? It is the predecessor of United Nations. As today we have a UN, earlier after World War I, the world established League of Nations. When League of Nations failed, World War II happened. After that, we created UN, United Nations. And yesterday we believe that it is unable to control things. खत्म हो गया अफगानिस्तान का जो हाल हो गया. Where is the idea of United Nations protecting human rights? The way the things are going on there, right? So they created UN. So this League of Nations was proposed by Woodrow Wilson, the American president, as one of the 14 points. Then another point that he gave, along with these 14 points, another thing that he talks, one of the things was create League of Nations. Then there was freedom of trade. Freedom of trade all over the world. This was more in American interest so that they can do more trade. And add on to it, he said, every community must get self-determination, right of self-determination. Now, what is the right of self-determination? Let's take an example. It is 1919 when they are talking about. So they say every community, every set of people living in a particular place, they should have a right to have government of their choice. Self-determination, that they will decide who will rule them, right? Even Indians asked at that time, is it for us as well? Because Britain was ruling India in 1919. So it was made clear that these are the principles for European nations, Western nations, not for the countries which are slaves, right? So this self-determination was meant for Europe. On the basis of this, the people of Hungary said, we want our own nation. We don't want Austria to rule over us. So on the principle of self-determination, Hungary was created as a separate country. Clear? I hope everyone understood the meaning of self-determination now. It is the right given to a group of people, a community, to decide that how they will be governed in future. So now let's complete this statement. Self-determination used by Paris peacemakers. Now, who are Paris peacemakers? Those who won World War I and had a meeting in Paris. They are called Paris peacemakers. And the new nations like Hungary, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Estonia, Estonia. I hope we know the spelling of Czechoslovakia, or you want me to spell? CZECHO. CZECHOSLOVAKIA. Czechoslovakia. Once there was a person who had to take an interview for a job, and he already had decided whom he has to select. So whosoever came for interview said, tell me the spelling of Czechoslovakia, and nobody could spell it. And then the one who has to say, okay, tell me the spelling of Goa. Right? So Czechoslovakia is one such spelling that you can even make hundreds of people fail with Czechoslovakia. CZECHOSLOVAKIA. Czechoslovakia, Estonia, ESTONIA, and Latvia, LATVIA. LATVIA. This Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, these were the countries part of Russian Empire at that time. Now they became independent countries. Next main point. World War I intensified. World War I intensified the spirit of nationalism. The spirit of nationalism. Next, a new balance of power. A new balance of power emerged in the world. A new balance of power emerged in the world. Now we all know that before World War I, it was Germany that was most powerful. Under the leadership of Bismarck, all of a sudden Germany became such a powerful country. Now that Germany has lost World War I, so the entire balance will change, right? Let's write a subpoint to it. Before the war, Germany was the most dominant European nation. Germany was the most dominant European nation. But after the war, Britain and France, emerged as major European powers. Major European powers, right? Now, even though Britain and France, they emerged as major European powers, but because the war actually was fought in Europe, so mostly like almost all European nations, they have been devastated. Britain cannot be that powerful as it had been earlier, neither France could be. There was now new powers that came on the political horizon of the world, for example, USA. So next point, emergence of USA and Japan as new powers. Next, It gave boost to new philosophies. It gave boost to new philosophies. BOOST, boost to new philosophies. Gave boost to new philosophies. Hyphen. Socialism and communism. Socialism and communism emerged as dominant philosophies. Emerged as dominant philosophies. Now here I would like to make you understand a very simple thing. Listen to it carefully. We will not write it. Ideas of Karl Marx, they started coming into picture in 1848 onwards time, right? From 1848 onwards, ideas of Karl Marx were there. So socialism, communism as a political philosophy was there, but it was not dominant. Nobody was taking it very seriously from 1848 onwards. But then when in Russia, that Russian revolution happened under the leadership of Bolshevik party, we will write about it today only, right? When that revolution happened under the leadership of Lenin, and Russia became a communist country, USSR. Now so it has become a dominant ideology. World over now, there will be a reaction, there will be a result. For example, taking inspiration from Russia and the success of Bolshevik party or the communist, immediately in 1920 in India, CPI will be formed, Communist Party of India. In 1921-22, Chinese Communist Party will be formed, and then gradually all over the world, the communists will become powerful. And within next 20 years, they will be so powerful that USSR will then be competing against USA in Cold War. So communism will become one such strong ideology immediately after about 20-30 years from now, right? So World War I made new philosophy, that is communism as a dominant philosophy. This is another one. Is next point, massive devastation caused by World War I. Massive devastation caused by World War I forced the European nations to look for permanent solution to bring an end to conflicts. So much was the devastation, so many people died, so many people lost their lives, so much of the economic destruction happened, that now the leaders in Europe, they want to find some permanent solution. And the result is, subpoint, the spirit of internationalism gained strength and the establishment of the League of Nations in 1921 is a valid example of the same. Now, what I mean by the idea of internationalism, spirit of internationalism, as one country, let's say as India, I think about India's national interest. As national interest of Pakistan, they think about their ideas, Afghanistan and every country. But if we sit together and we decide that, see, everyone's security is equally important. If India is not safe, then other countries cannot be safe for very long. And then there is spirit of internationalism. Let's go for some kind of collective agreement. Let's create one common army or something like that. And then we will try to protect each other. This is called spirit of internationalism. Let's have a peaceful coexistence and help each other stay safe. So for the while, Europe realized that, see, nationalism can bring war. Now, I will give you an example where I will connect it with Second World War as well. Before World War I, there was spirit of nationalism. Every country wanted to get its own nation. Now, after World War I, they said, see, we agree that nationalism is very important. So we are creating new nations on the basis of the idea of nationality. Czechoslovakia, Poland, all these have been created. but now at least stop fighting for these ideas. Let's create one group where we help each other to make everyone secure. So they made League of Nations. It is an international organization. It is not somebody, like, it is not a particular nation's initiative, it's a collective initiative. So when it is collective, it is international, right? So first you took an initiative, let's create one global organization, but then it failed and World War II happened. After World War II, Europe realized that it is not just one international organization that can help us avoid the war. We have to create one supranational institution as well. Like, let's stop thinking like I am France, I am Germany, I am Spain, I am Italy. Let's create one European Union. All of us are Europe. So not only United Nations were created, right? They also started talking about a supranational institution or an organization called European Union. And since then, you know what they are doing? They have common currency. All European countries use common currency called euro. They have a common parliament. They have a common homeland security, common judicial setup, right? So they created one such supranational institution after World War II. This is how gradually nations realize the things. You cannot realize it in a day or two. Similarly, like I keep talking, see, Europe realized it after two world wars. Unfortunately, in Asia, we haven't seen something like this. So we are not able to understand that collective security is very important. So we, China, India, China, Pakistan, Afghanistan, we keep fighting for like petty things. Perhaps after some time, we will realize that, see, this is not feasible. We cannot continue like this for very long. And then perhaps we will sit on negotiation table and we create one Asian Union. And believe me, it is not a mirage. It is not a dream. It is something that will definitely happen. Now, the question is when. It may happen in next 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. Perhaps our generation will not be able to see it, but the next generation will definitely see the rise of Asian Union, right? All right. So this is all about politico-administrative impact. Next is economic impact. Next is economic impact. Number one, World War I badly devastated European economy. Badly devastated European economy. Subpoint. Bombs were thrown on the cities and towns. Bombs were thrown on the cities and towns. Right? This was World War, and every nation was fighting with the resolve to destroy the enemy. You know, before World War, the trend was that the armies will come to the borders and fight on the borders. The civilians will not be targeted. But in World War I, there is one fact that we need to understand, because it was a world war. It was a very long war. For 4 years, nations had to fight with full resolve. That means the soldiers will continue to die. You have to replenish your troops. You have to add soldiers to your army. That means all men will be recruited into army. There will be a kind of thing called conscription, compulsory military service for all. So all able-bodied men will then join army. Now that, let's say, I am fighting against any one of you, and I know that you will add your men in future. When I will kill your soldiers, you will send your civilians after training them, and they will come and fight with my soldiers. Before you train them, why shouldn't I kill them? This is war, right? So European nations for the first time stop discriminating, like these are soldiers, these are civilians. For them, everyone is a prospective soldier in the future. So they intentionally started attacking cities. And the first target of the city, like when we have to attack some city, first target will be where there are industries, particularly the war industries. If somewhere you are making the war machines like arms, ammunition, weapons, somewhere where you are making automobile for your soldiers so that they do not get cars and jeeps. So intentionally, I will attack your industrial towns first. When I come to your industrial towns, I end up killing the civilian population as well. Now that Europe has been so badly devastated, their industries have been intentionally targeted by the enemies. Britain attacking German industries, Germany attacking British industries, France attacking Italy's industries, or Italy attacking French industries, something like this. So the entire Europe ended up destroying itself. Because now the industries have been destroyed, economies have been devastated. The revival of industries is a very difficult task. When it became a difficult task, now what you will do? You will depend on USA. That is why USA will become a new world power after World War I. Clear, everyone? So World War I badly devastated European economy. Towns and cities like bombed. Second point, second subpoint, industries were destroyed. Industries were destroyed. Last subpoint, total economic burden of World War I is estimated to be almost $400 billion. $400 billion. World War I's cost is almost $400 billion. Now, if you take into account the cost of Second World War, it is almost $600 billion. So you ended up wasting $1,000 billion on two world wars, right? You know, agencies like WHO, World Health Organization, they say if we have got 10% of this during that time when the wars were happening, we could have invested in so much of the R&D, research and development, that most of the diseases by now would have been treatable. We would have got the breakthroughs and diseases would have been eliminated. There would have been no malaria, no chicken pox, nothing like that. Everything would have been eliminated. And then think about the poverty alleviation programs, the food security worldwide. Everything would have been possible. But you did not end with it. You will continue spending money on war and war machine. Until that, you are doing it. And now Afghanistan is another example. Syria is another example. So this continues, sordid but true. All right. Next main point, change in direction of the international trade. Direction of international trade. Now, what I mean by direction of international trade, earlier there were more industries in Europe. Europe used to manufacture goods and send it all over the world. So Europe was a net exporter. Now that the European industries have been destroyed, so America and Japan, the new powerhouses of industries, they will become the net exporters. Europe will become a net importer. It will start importing. Make sub point. Before World War I, Europe was a net exporter. Europe was a net exporter, but after the war, it became net importer. It became net importer, and now US and Japan emerged as major industrial powers. Major industrial powers. Now put a star mark and write one more important fact. Modern industries started emerging. Modern industries started emerging in India as well. Now let me explain you something, the details of which we will do in modern Indian history classes. Before World War I, Britain never ever allowed any proper modern industry to be established in India. Why? Because they wanted that India should continue consume British goods. During World War, when the industries in Britain was intentionally being attacked, so they now allowed industries to be set up in India so that when need be, they can buy things from India and give to the Europeans or the British people in England. So that is why they now allowed industries to be set up in India. For example, if I tell you, the railways were to be extended or expanded in Europe. Even Britain had to extend its railways so that armies can quickly move from one place to another. The automobile has to be incentivized. So you need a lot of steel for that, iron and steel. So this is the time when Tata Steel will get the opportunity. TISCO is there. Ayushi, great. TISCO will be allowed and it will start flourishing in India. But then they will buy all the things and take them to Europe. Right? All right. Next point. Next main point. World War I forced European leadership. World War I forced European leadership to adopt new economic ideas and practices. World War I forced European leadership to adopt new economic ideas and practices. Subpoint, doctrine of laissez-faire, that freedom of trade. Doctrine of laissez-faire, Laissez, laissez-faire, FAIRE, was abandoned, and policy of protectionism. I will explain this statement once I am done with the dictation thing. Doctrine of laissez-faire was abandoned and the policy of protectionism was adopted by most of the European nations. Now see, there are two things we have to understand. These are self-contradictory things, and that is why Second World War happened. On one hand, Europe is saying, let's talk about internationalism. They made League of Nations, let's help each other. But because every country was facing the same economic problems, they are self-centric nationalist leaders. They said, we have to first resolve the local problems, the domestic problems. So we have to encourage our own industry. We have to ensure the revival of our own industries. Now, when you talk about your own industries, you try to give them protection from the global competition. You say that if anything from outside will come to my country, I will put more taxes on it. To my local industry, I will give some rebate, some concessions, tax holiday or something like that. Now, when you give incentives to your own industry and put taxes on the industries from outside, what you become protectionist. You are protecting your industries. And the idea of laissez-faire, freedom of trade, is over. Why? Because you are not giving equal access to outsiders to your market. It is not freedom of trade. You intentionally put additional taxes on outside industries. Now, on one hand, you are talking about internationalism. At the same time, on the other hand, what you are doing, you are turning protectionist, giving incentive to your industry so that you can compete against the foreign companies. That means there is no spirit of internationalism. It is still nationalism. This will lead to World War II. That is why after World War II, when United Nations will be formed, you will also go for GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. Then it will become IMF, WTO, and things like that. Next point. Subpoint and next iska. Regulation of trade and markets. Regulation of trade and markets was intended to ensure availability of essential goods to every citizen. Availability of essential goods to every citizen. Right? So when the states were interfering in economic activities, freedom of trade is gone. When it is freedom of trade, when the state is not interfering in the economic sphere, that is what laissez-faire is all about, the ideology of Adam Smith. Last point, subpoint to this. Great emphasis was laid on the role of state in economic life. Right? Next main point. World War I pushed Europe. धकेल दिया यूरोप को किसमें? Pushed Europe into a serious debt crisis. Into a serious debt, DEBT crisis. Into a serious debt crisis. During war, Europe needed a lot of money. From where were they getting the money? From USA. Now I will link it with the next thing. So please be attentive and careful, listen and understand this concept. During war, Europe is fighting, but America is surviving because nobody attacked America. It was so far away. America came to fight war late. America joined the war in 1918, not in 17 or 16. By the time America came to war, within few months the war ended. So America did not had much impact on its economy. America was very rich. America was producing, European industries were destroyed. Europe was buying things from America. So initially, all the money was going to America. And when America had so much of the money, it wanted Europe to survive as well. So it kept on giving loans to European countries so that they can continue their trade activities. Right? Now that the war has come to an end, Europe found itself in debt. It was to pay so much of money to US and to other countries. Now their industries are destroyed. How will they revive their economies? America thought, let me once again help the European countries to revive their economies. So America once again started giving them loans. All right, take some loan and repay the previous. Let's say you owe me 100 rupees. Today I'm giving you 500 rupees. You give me 100 rupees back. Now you have 400 rupees of loan. But it is again 500 because I've given you 500. You have returned my 100. So I gave you 500. Now you have to pay me 500 plus interest, but I've already got 100 rupees back, right? From these 500 that I've given you, now the 400 that's remaining with you, please invest in your markets, create the demand and buy my goods. The money will come back to America. In any what way, you will buy goods from me. Now that you have bought my goods, my 500 rupees have come back, but you still owe me 500 rupees. America thought I will do something like this. So America paid money to Europe. Okay, buy my things. But Europe has become protectionist. So the global trade suffered, because of which American goods were not sold as it was expected. So American godowns were full with the goods, but nobody is buying them now. Great economic depression started from America. Even the American economy collapsed. Now that the American economy has collapsed, who will fund the European economy? So the global trade collapsed. That is why it is called the Great Economic Depression of 1929. And historians said, America sneezed, Europe got the cold. As if in 2019, China sneezed and the world got COVID, right? All right, next. So World War I pushed Europe into a serious debt crisis. I hope this point is clear to everyone here. Serious debt crisis, subpoint. Huge loans were taken from US. Huge loans were taken from US during the war, but after the end of war, Europe had no money to repay. Europe had no money to repay, and thus there were serious economic crises. And thus there were serious economic crises. All right, next. Extremely serious. Next economic impact is extremely serious inflationary challenge. Extremely serious inflationary challenge emerged in Europe. Extremely serious inflationary challenge emerged in Europe. All of a sudden, there was high inflation, gulping inflation, right? So things were becoming so very expensive. Why? Because there is less production, there is demand, but there is no supply. Because there is lack of supply and more of demand, the prices will skyrocket, inflation will increase. All of a sudden, all over Europe, there was so much of inflation. Everything became so expensive and people could not afford it. Now the governments were under tremendous pressure. They have seen war, they have seen destruction, they have seen devastation. Now they don't want civil unrest. So they will try to take unprecedented steps, which may fail or may not fail. And mostly the risk-taking appetite was very dangerous and most of the experiments failed. Now let's try explain how they failed. Extremely serious inflationary challenge emerged all over Europe. Sub point, policy of pump priming. Policy of pump, PUMP priming was adopted by many countries. Policy of pump priming was adopted by many countries. That is, extra money was printed. Extra money was printed to increase liquidity. Increase liquidity. But when you will increase liquidity, there is always a chance that inflation may skyrocket again. The more the money supply, the more are the chances of the inflation to increase. Subpoint, this led to hyperinflation. This led to hyperinflation, and in many countries, paper currency lost its value. In many countries, paper currency lost its value. For example, German currency completely collapsed. Very good, Vijay. Excellent. German currency completely collapsed. You will not believe, if I take example from today, Germans were carrying a currency note worth $2 million in hand. $2 million, one note, and they went to market to buy bread. And they gave it to the vendor, I need a bread. And he said, okay, I don't have change. They said, okay, give me some sweets. So $2 million they gave, they got one bread and a couple of sweets, and that is it. That was the level. अभी कुछ साल पहले जिम्बाब्वे में भी ऐसा ही हुआ था. The currency collapsed and $1 million की currency छप रही थी. Imagine करो तुम लेके जा रहे हो $1 million मार्केट और एक ब्रेड लेके आ रहे हो. हाँ, ठीक है. So ये हो गया last. Now this point is very important and little ticklish to understand. So let me explain this to you. Many men died fighting the war. Many of them who are surviving the war, who survived the war, they were completely handicapped. So they cannot work. Now there is little workforce in Europe. Very few men who can work. Because now they are few and you still need them. So they become aware of their importance. So trade union trends will now become more popular. The workers know their importance and they have increased their bargaining power. Earlier, there were so many workers. You ask them, okay, will you work for $1? Somebody said, no, I need $2. And somebody said, all right, I will come. So there was no problem getting cheap labor. But now there are only few men. They said, we will never work for less than $5. So you have to pay them, right? That's why when we go to countries like Canada or Europe, you realize now that everyone says that getting the manual labor done is very expensive there. है ना? यहाँ जैसे थोड़ा कि you ask somebody to come as a plumber or as a like cleaner to your house and do some basic work and go back getting 200-300 rupees. There today ask for, okay, give me $40 per hour I work. जो घर में घास काटने आएगा ना, if somebody come to mow the grass, वो भी ये बोलेगा $25 per hour. जितना बड़ा लोन है देख लो, 3 घंटे लगेंगे, $75 दे दो. फिर जो इंडियंस बैठे होते हैं 75 into 75, रहन दो आप ही काट लांगे. Then they are mowing the grass themselves. ऐसे होता है, वो कुमारे होते हैं डॉलर में, फिर गिन भी डॉलर में रहे होते हैं, फिर उसको रुपए से कन्वर्ट कर देते हैं, है ना? कहता हूँ नहीं यार इतना कौन देता है, काई कटना मैं ही काट दूंगा, एज की कम है. ऐसे ही होता है. यू फाइंड इंडियंस डूइंग दिस. लाइक गोरों को वैसे ही पता होता है कि यार इतना पैसे उनको भी देने हैं, इतने में तो बियर आ जाती है 2 बोतल, तो घास काटेंगे, बाद में आराम से बैठ के बियर पियेंगे 2 दोस्त, इसलिए वो पैसे नहीं वेस्ट करते. सो गेटिंग डोमेस्टिक हेल्प देयर इज वेरी एक्सपेंसिव, राइट? अगला लास्ट पॉइंट, emergence of trade unionism. Emergence of trade unionism. Now what is this trade unionism? Subpoint, shortage of labor. Shortage of labor forced the state, means sarkar, forced the state to follow conciliatory approach. Force the state to follow conciliatory approach. earlier ना जो state थी, the government, they never allowed the trade unions to be organized. They said no, 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 you will not organize into unions, you will not go for strike and anything. But now they knew that there are so less labor. If they stop working, then who will work? Then entire economic activity will be stopped. So they said, all right, make your union, go for collective bargaining, we allow you this and that and things like that. एक sub point, labor adopted policy of collective bargaining. Now they know their importance and to stay together, right? Collective bargaining. They will talk in one, like we will work if we get this much, otherwise no one will work. Do your work yourself. This is all about economic impact. All right, let's start then. Socio-cultural impact. Now, before I dictate, let's listen to a story. First thing, the war happened in Europe. The men went to fight the war. When the men were fighting, able-bodied men, right, young men, only old, crippled, handicapped, and children were left behind. Now, if they are very old or they are very young or they are crippled, they cannot even work in factories. So women will work in factories. For the first time, women will go out of their homes in Europe and start working. Before this, employment for women was very less in Europe. But the war created the scope where women will start working now. One thing. Now the men who went to fight, many of them died. Others, when they came back, somebody was having one leg, somebody was having one arm, somebody had one eye, somebody was blind, disfigured men. So women said, no, 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 we cannot marry them. We are not nurses. Now the trend is misogamism. Misogamism is no interest in marriage. They said, why to marry? Now we are independent, we work, we earn, we need nobody to support us. Moreover, there are so many orphan kids in Europe. We will adopt them. What's the problem? We can have single mother families now. And this trend became very popular. Feminism became a popular trend and women stopped marrying and they started adopting the orphan children. Now that's good otherwise, but how will your population grow now? The Europe will go into negative population growth. Nobody's getting birth. Old are dying. New generation is not coming. Your population is in the negative growth rate. Then there can be a threat ki kisi din the entire population will vanish and there will be no one living. So what would the European nations now do? They opened immigration for the others and Punjabis were hooray. Visa on arrival. Let's go. Wherever you go, you get visa on arrival. Punjabis are so happy. And then World War I ended. And this immigration, it reached one saturation point. And the countries, they stopped immigration. They said, enough, thank you. Punjabis are praying to God, one more World War, God, please. We are left behind, please. How can you do this to us? And then there was World War II. And they said, hooray, let's go. Visas on arrival. Many managed. Now the remaining like me, we are still praying to God. Please, one more World War. Please, please, please. Last time, God, please. We also want to settle in Europe. Please, one more. Now this is it, right? So what happened because of World War? The demography changed in Europe. There was less young men, more old men and children. There were less men and more women. The women have turned misogamist. Then immigration started. This is one explanation on which you have to write 30-40 words. Another explanation now. When the war started, as I said, that there was conscription, compulsory military service for all. Now everybody has to come and fight. You cannot say, no, see, I'm rich man, I will not come. I'm poor, I will not come. If you are able-bodied, you will go. So let's take one example. What happened in Europe? I hope you remember there was trench warfare. Khadda khod ke ladai ladi gayi na, khadde mein baith gaye soldiers. They are sitting in trenches. So there is a trench in which I am sitting. Along with me, it is Mr. Mukesh Ambani who is sitting that day. And then there is an office boy from my office only. So we three are sitting. And when I saw Mr. Mani, I said, oh, hi, Mr. Mani, who are you? And he said, okay, thank you. Great. So who are you? I said, I'm Raj. Oh, okay. Sir, आप आराम से बैठो. Please be comfortable. मैं थोड़ा साइड पे हो गया. मैंने अपने ऑफिस में बोला, आगे हो. वो भी आगे हो गया. Now we are sitting in that trench. पानी खत्म हो गया. So I asked my office boy, go and fetch water for me. वो बेचारा गया, गोलियां खाता हुआ बड़ी मुश्किल से पानी भर के लाया. अब थोड़े दिन बीत गए. We have seen we all are same. कोई अमीर नहीं, कोई गरीब नहीं, सब इकट्ठे बैठे, सबकी एक औकात है. We all are equal. नेक्स्ट डे मैंने अपने ऑफिस में देखा, मैं कहा यार पानी. कहता राज जाओ लेके आओ. रोज मैं थोड़ा जाऊंगा. You have to go and fetch water for me today. Then I took the entire risk. I went, I brought the water, and after a few days I said, हाँ भी मुकेश क्या कर रहा है बेटा, निकल शाबाश पानी भर के ला, 3 दिन हो गए तेरे को पिला रहा हूँ मैं, आज मुकेश अंबानी को भी जाना पड़ेगा. That means where gender parity came, along with it class parity came. Now there is no one who will consider himself rich and superior and special, no one who is poor, all are equal. Europe changed. इसीलिए यूरोप में डिग्निटी ऑफ लेबर भी इतनी है. यहाँ पे तो तुमने ऐसा कुछ देखा नहीं ना अभी तक. तमिल होता है, कास्ट भी होती है, क्लास भी होती है, रिच भी होता है, पुअर भी होता है, हाई कास्ट, लो कास्ट. जिस दिन होगी वर्ल्ड वार, सारे इकट्ठे बैठ गए, सब खत्म हो जाना उसके बाद. एवरीवन विल स्टार्ट थिंकिंग अलाइक. डन. चलो नेक्स्ट लिखो अब. सोशो कल्चरल इम्पैक्ट. लेट्स स्टार्ट राइटिंग अबाउट इट. फर्स्ट पॉइंट. World War I was the most devastating conflict. World War I was the most devastating conflict seen by mankind. Seen by mankind. World War I was the most devastating conflict seen by mankind. 8.5 million people perished. 8.5 million people perished. And you know something, 21 million people were wounded. Millions were untraceable. कोई हिसाब ही नहीं कहाँ गए. Millions of people untraceable हो गए, missing हो गए. Obviously they died. There is no record, official record. Second point. There emerged a serious demographic crisis in Europe. There emerged a serious demographic challenge in Europe. Subpoint. Most of the dead were young men. Most of the dead were young men. So left behind were children. Left behind were children, women and old men. Children, women and old men. Second point. Now before we write, let's try understand. When you see that, all of a sudden millions of people died and there is no logic behind it, what the hell has happened? Because of the desire of some of the kings, some of the presidents, some of the leaders, you made nations go for war and millions of people died. That was insane. Many people said, seriously, do you think there is God? Had there been God, there would have been some sense. God would have protected people. God would have made people understand that this is not the way the human life should be, spent or wasted. So we don't think there is God. Now that explains why in Europe, people are not as spiritual as we are. Earlier, even Europeans were very spiritual. वो भी हर रोज चर्च जाते थे, कैंडल लिट करते थे, जैसे हम रोज सुबह मंदिर जाते हैं, धूप जला देते हैं ना, यूरोप भी करता था. तो नाउ दे हैव अंडरस्टूड, थैंक्स जीसस, बाय बाय, एंड दे जस्ट गो फॉर देयर वर्क. They have changed. The war changed them, and then war on war. There had been constant wars in Europe. They said, enough, yaar. There is no God. We have realized this now. So this is second point. Death and devastation caused by war. Death and devastation caused by war shattered the faith of people. Shattered the faith of people in the efficacy of efficacy is usefulness, EFFICACY, efficacy of religion. They said there is no use of religion, don't believe in God, just work. Right? This is how things change. So Europe started becoming atheist. They stopped believing in God to a very large extent. Next. World War I shattered the faith. World War I shattered the faith in the notion of happiness. अगला लिखो. World War I shattered faith in notion of happiness. Subpoint. Resources gathered over generations were destroyed. Resources gathered over generations were destroyed, and people could not convince themselves. People could not convince themselves about the usefulness of working hard again. वर्किंग हार्ड अगेन, दे सेड ऑल राइट, बस उतना काम करो जितने में खाना मिल जाए इस हफ्ते का, बाकी नेक्स्ट वीक देखेंगे। तुम्हें पता है इन इंडिया वी डू नॉट टेक लाइक मच ऑफ द लोन्स, व्हाई? बिकॉज वी ऑलवेज फियर दैट बच्चों को वापस देना पड़ेगा। ले लो यार, हमने मर जाना, बच्चे अपना देते नहीं, हमें क्या फर्क पड़ता है। दे लिव देयर लाइफ ऑन क्रेडिट, सब क्रेडिट कार्ड पे जीते हैं। हमारे यहाँ पे मौत पड़ी रहती है, कोई ले ले उसको भागना पड़ जाता है, जो लोन लेता है वो भाग जाता है। वहां पे सारी दुनिया ही लोन पे जीती है, दे ऑल लिव देयर लाइफ ऑन क्रेडिट एंड दे आर वेरी हैप्पी। नेक्स्ट सब पॉइंट, सॉरी नेक्स्ट मेन पॉइंट, strong anti-war attitude, strong anti-war attitude developed in Europe for some time. Exactly, Sahu, that's very true and very, very sorry for this. Strong anti-war attitude developed for some time. You know, for some time, people were fed up with this war and everything. They were now asking, please don't fight to everyone. But after 10 years, everyone will say, take revenge, and there will be world war in 20 years. But for next 10 years, everyone say, please don't fight, don't kill people. It is so bad, right? Sub point. This can be seen in the literature, painting and music of the time. Literature, painting and music of the time. Everything talks against war, that this is unnecessary thing, let's stop it. Now that such a devastation has taken place, so many people died, so much happened, do you think there is any positive impact of World War? There has to be. Nothing can happen with one side. There are always two sides of the coin. So write positive aspects. So what are the positive aspects? Number one, reconstruction needs in Europe. Now that everything has collapsed, so you have to reconstruct everything. Reconstruction needs in Europe forced the governments to promote education. Force the governments to promote education on a large scale, so that more and more people must be ready to take up jobs in near future, right? Sub point, France declared free primary education in 1925. What you did with your 86th Amendment 2002. Free primary education, India gave it in 2002, France declared it in 1925, and in 1933, France declared free secondary education. France declared free secondary education. So education became free, it became a right for everyone. Everyone will be educated, standard of living will start improving after the war, right? Number two, social status of working class. Social status of working class significantly improved. ये मैंने समझाया था ना वो वर्किंग क्लास वाला. लेस पीपल, कलेक्टिव बार्गेनिंग, बेटर वेजेस, बेटर लाइफस्टाइल. वहां पे जो तुम्हारे घर पे घास काटने आएगा वो भी कार में आएगा. ऐसे नहीं आएगा ना कि साइकिल पे मशीन रख के आएगा. आराम से गाड़ी में बैठ के आएगा. प्रॉपर तुम उससे अपॉइंटमेंट बुक करोगे, फिर वो टाइम पे आएगा, घास काटेगा, डॉलर्स देगा, चला जाएगा. राइट? सोशल स्टेटस ऑफ वर्किंग क्लास इंप्रूव्ड. 3, लिबरेशन ऑफ वुमेन. वो तुमने लिख ही लिया. अब लिबरेशन ऑफ वुमेन, स्टार लगा के लिखो. ब्रिटेन was the first country in Europe. Britain was the first country in Europe to give right to vote to its women. To give right to vote to its women. Even USA gave it in 1920. 1920 तक USA में भी women had no right to vote. Now imagine your India. Think about it. 1947, everyone got right to vote. That's what India is. There is beauty to India. Done. All right, everyone. Now we are done with all the impact or consequences or results of World War I. Let's start. What do you mean by total war? We have to write a proper answer and we have 10 points to write. I will keep explaining every point and I've explained the other things. So let's start with it. First is introduction. The concept of total war. The concept of total war was put forward by German commander Ludendorff. 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 DROFF. In his 1935 book. In his 1935 book titled Total War. Titled Total War. Subpoint. This concept was extended to nuclear age by the American writer Curtis LeMay. Curtis. Curtis LeMay. LEMAY. In 1949. Right? Now, make a subheading. Features of total war. Features of total war. Number 1. It is characterized by participation of most of the countries of the world. Most of the countries of the world. Now listen to me and try understand. European countries, because of their alliances, Triple Alliance and Triple Entente, we know there were many countries in it, right? So they started a war. So it was a European war. Now, because these European countries, they had colonial possessions in Asia and Africa, so they made their colonies participate in the war, right? So this was when it started, it was a European war. Then it was extended to Afro-Asian countries where the European masters had their colonial possessions. Then in 1917-18, when US entered the war, now it became World War because all continents almost participated in war. Asia, Africa, Europe, America, and even Australia, because Australia was controlled by Britain. So every continent participated. That is why it became a world war. So from a European war, it turned into world war when America entered. All right. Subpoint. Most of the major powers take part in it. Most of the major powers take part in it. Second subpoint. Participation assumes global proportion. Participation assumes global proportion directly or indirectly. directly or indirectly. Last subpoint, European nations plus US plus का sign plus US and the Afro-Asian colonies. Afro-Asian colonies participated in it. Second main point, fought at hundreds of battlefronts. Fought at hundreds of battlefronts simultaneously. Fought at hundreds of battlefronts simultaneously. See, you know, when we say there was a battle of Plassey, it was in the grounds of Plassey, we fought a battle. Then we say there was a battle of Buxar, right? This is at Buxar we fought. Then we say there are 3 battles at Panipat. Only and only at Panipat we fought the war. Now, when it is World War, you are fighting in Europe, in England, you are fighting in France, you are fighting in Germany, Italy, Spain, you are fighting in Portugal, you are fighting in Russia, then you are fighting in Africa, you are fighting in Asia, you are fighting on the land, you are fighting in the sea, you are fighting in the skies. It's a global war. It's fighting everywhere. So that is what I mean by simultaneous battles everywhere. Clear? I hope everyone got the idea. On a side, write a statement. In a box, write a statement. It was the first war. It was the first war that was fought on the land, in the sea, and in the skies. First time ever we had use of tanks, we had use of submarines, and we have used of aircrafts together for the first time. This is the first war. Right? Number 3, total participation of the fighting capacities of the warring nations. Subpoint, not just the armies participate. Not just the armies participate, but the entire society and economy participate. Society and economy participate to ensure a favorable outcome. To ensure a favorable outcome. Subpoint, political leader work to sign alliances. Political leaders work to sign alliances and counter alliances. So leaders are busy making new alliances. Second subpoint, old men took care of household activities. Old men took care of household activities. Third point, laborers worked unconditionally. Laborers worked unconditionally. Next, Industrialists produced war goods. Industrialists produced war goods. Next, musicians, dancers, and magicians. All these people who are involved in any of the arts, musicians, dancers, and magicians, motivated the people and the soldiers. Motivated the people and the soldiers. At times, we always wonder that when it was Kargil war, why did we ask our film heroes to visit the soldiers on the base camps? The soldiers will go, like Akshay Kumar will go and meet the soldiers. Soldiers will feel more enthralled and they will feel belonging to the nation, that see, the heroes are coming to meet us. The celebrities are coming to meet us. It is to give them a feel-good factor. So similarly, during World War, all the people involved in various arts, they were sent to the battlefronts to entertain the soldiers, right? Next main point, use of latest weapons. Use of latest weapons and use of latest weapons and technologies. Latest weapons and technologies like tanks, submarines, and aircrafts. Tanks, submarines, and aircrafts. Next main point, use of weapons of mass destruction. Use of weapons of mass destruction. Subpoint number 1, poisonous gases during World War I. Poisonous gases during World War I. And second subpoint, nuclear weapons during World War II. Next main point, total war is always a long drawn out war. Total war is always a long drawn out DRAWN war. ऐसा थोड़ा कि बैटल ऑफ प्लासी हुआ एक दिन में खत्म हो गया, बैटल ऑफ बक्सर हुआ एक दिन में खत्म हो गया, इंडिया चाइना वॉर हुई हफ्ते में 10 दिन में खत्म हो गई, इंडिया पाकिस्तान वॉर हुई महीने में खत्म हो गई. It's a long drawn out war. Subpoint, both World War I and World War II both World War I and World War II lasted for more than 4 years. Lasted for more than 4 years. Done. Next main point. There is no difference. There is no difference between. There is no difference between combatants, means soldiers, COMBATANTS, combatants, and non-combatants. Combatants and non-combatants. Subpoint, civilian targets. Civilian targets are deliberately attacked. Civilian targets are deliberately attacked to weaken the fighting resolve. To weaken the fighting resolve of the opponents. When the soldiers, we know that their families are not safe, they will not be able to focus on war. When they know that my wife, my mother, my child, they all are unsafe, so they will not be able to focus more on the war. Subpoint, cities and industrial towns. Cities and industrial towns deliberately attacked. Deliberately attacked. Next main point, development of new military infrastructure. development of new military infrastructure. Now, what is this new military infrastructure? Subpoint: to organize war efficiently. To organize war efficiently, comma, central command and communications network developed. Central command and communication network developed. Next main point: total war is a war of attrition. Total war is a war of attrition. 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 That is, both the groups who fight the war, both the groups undergo slow degeneration. Both lose their men, both waste their money. It's complete destruction of both. Nobody will survive as a power, right? Total war is a war of attrition. That is, both the groups undergo slow degeneration, and trench warfare is an example of this. Trench warfare is an example of this. Second last main point: it is characterized by decisive outcome. That is, one party has to completely lose to end the war. Completely lose to end the war. And the last main point: another feature of total war is total impact on the human life. On the human life, total impact on the human life. That is, impact is visible. Impact is visible on the politico-administrative, economic, as well as social and cultural life. Now, this is what we mean by total war.